I'm gonna try and keep this as short and sweet as possible, so we'll dive straight in. The most important thing through I think this region of time with the events of Wednesday coming up is to maintain a fluid bias through here. I don't think you can really pin your hopes on one side or the other, and I think that really the decisive market is the dollar in what's going to happen next. Certainly, just from my perspective, without diving into the 6 layers of correlation. The dollar for me is at a really important point. It's something I tweeted about earlier. These two areas are largely the same. Similar sort of rundowns through here, starting to round off, and then you get impulse, right? So rundown, starting to round off, and now we're waiting for impulse. And the result of that impulse is really going to determine what's going to be next for risk. So if we get a slight push above these highs here at the 102.25s, then I think pretty good situation as long as it gets slapped down for risk. The indexes are in a good position currently, and I don't really see the dollar downtrend being, that kind of like bottom call that everybody wants to be. To me, this is just downtrend in motion and will continue to trend down. And, I don't really see anything that's, a significant change to that. If the dollar does begin to rally, there will be some concerning points about how far that rally can extend to, given the fact that the weekly is also showing a divergence down at this region between these two lows on the higher time frame. So that will be a concern. However, with a shorter time frame in mind and into Wednesday, I think the pop above here and the result of that is going to be important. So if we take the drive here to the 102s fail, head back lower, great. Hopefully this weekly support snaps, good situation for risk and therefore crypto. If the more negative approach happens, in which case it takes a run up into the 103s, then obviously we're in for a period of continued selling, certainly from a crypto perspective. And based on the way the crypto charts currently look, far different to traditional markets, we would say that is the more likely outcome through this region. To me, it looks as though it wants to try and do the run at the 103s, but we have to wait and see what Wednesday is going to bring. So the dollar is a really, really important market right now. The move through here will be important. Whether or not we see an immediate rejection after a sweep will be important. Whether or not we see continued strength and a push into the 103s, in which case the risk markets are going to take a hit. Now, the indexes we won't bother covering because I think they look in a really good position. They were far less bothered by the dollar rally today. They've only seen a slight correction off the highs, and they still look really good on the higher time frames. Crypto is the problem markets right now because the whole of the market basically looks like an easy short. The last time this situation developed was the end of December, and the market rallied enormously on the back of that situation where everything just looked like death. Now, I'm not suggesting that we're in for another, rally like we've had over the past 4 months. However, I think the market alignment at this point in time for crypto is pretty strong in terms of indicating the downside. So when we start taking a look at things like BTC, we're at really, really important areas on the higher time frame. We all know about the higher time frame resistance that spans through this region over here. And so we're in this big 30k, 29k region. Didn't quite make it into the weekly level at the 32s, and we're now chopping around this zone. This area here is very, very important from my perspective, and it's very important because this area here has the potential to be the lower high, and if we start to break down below this level over here, then we're going to be forming the lower low. And we're going to have our downtrending market structure. And that isn't a good look for me on BTC, especially when we know that the next target region is back down towards that 25k weekly retest that we have down here. So this is a really important zone to fight for. Any impact on the dollar, and I think that this is going to go far lower. But these markets are set up in a really tragic position in comparison to the majority of traditional markets, which actually weathered the storm of the dollar rally pretty well today. A lot of equities pushing into highs, Nvidia fresh highs. There's lots of positives to take from those markets that really aren't evident on the crypto front right now. So some concerns here, and major concerns if BTC loses this. I think we then fill up this inefficiency very, very quickly, and we end up trading back down here. I would have thought in pretty rapid time we'll get back down here. I would have thought this would be a pretty brutal sell-off through here. So I don't think those markets are looking particularly good. Certainly I can't, sit here and paint the bullish picture right now on BTC. The bullish picture for me develops if dollar fails and depending on what the Fed outlook is. I think that's what's important. The index is far better positioned, but of course will react to a strong position on Wednesday. This is a time where you don't really need to trade, but I think it's very important to be aware of the factors you're looking for in order to place positions, because the market is set up really nicely. There's some really good looking trades developing, certainly on the higher time frame for those traders that want more of kind of like the directional bet. And looking at an area where BTC could form a higher time frame, a daily downtrending structure, is one of those very good times. It's a very different area to here, because in this region here, we got our higher high. We then broke the low down here, made the lower low, but there's no lower high in this to confirm the downtrend. So we've made the lower low. There's no lower high in this. This was the potential zone for that. Blasted straight through it. This area here, a lot scarier. We've already got the lower high, and we're now battling towards that lower low area. So really important few days ahead. Don't need to trade it if you don't have strong conviction in one direction or another from here. I think we're really waiting on what the news is going to be on Wednesday, and then how the markets are going to react from that. Really, really important period of time, I think, for both swing traders and those traders looking at playing level to level. I think we're going to see some fireworks midweek into the end of the week.